going on, Jerome's? So this offseason in free agency, the Minnesota Vikings lost Kirk Cousins to the Falcons, as well as Daniil, the real deal Hunter, to the Houston Texans. Now, the thinking of, well, why didn't the Vikings trade the two players before? Well, even if and when they walked in free agency with expiring contracts, it would count into the compensatory pick formula, and the Vikings could get a little something in 2025 if Kwesi played the game right. And of course, with compensatory picks, it's all the rage. Talk about free agency. How does this affect our comp picks? But basically, it compensates teams who net lost more free agents with expiring contracts than they sign free agents with expiring contracts, right? So cut players don't count, whether you cut them or you sign them, and you can get a little extra something at the back end of the 3rd through 7th round. And basically, like Rick Spielman had been very good at this. The Patriots and the Ravens are very good at this. And you're thinking, it's like, okay, so the Vikings are losing Kurt and Daniil. It should be 2 threes worth of value, right? So what's interesting is that Nick Corte over at Over the Cap, so the formula for compensatory picks, it's proprietary. Like the league has the formula. They don't even reveal the results until next March. But Over the Cap does a very good job at reverse engineering it and approximating what's it going to be for the next year's comp picks. So he tweeted this out. Here's my current update on where the 2025 comp picks stand now that we're past the draft and no more compensatory free agents can be added to the formula. So the compensatory pick window is closed. Any free agents signed, even if they have expiring contracts now, do not count. And the team that the player left doesn't get any extra love either. So up at the top, yes, Kirk Cousins projected to have a 3rd round pick, which is going to be kind of nice since the Vikings a little bit of bereft of picks, and that could have been one of the reasons why the Vikings were very open to swinging and making maneuvers with the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in various trade ups in the draft, because they're just waiting on that 3rd round comp pick. But are they expecting a second one? So now going back to the chart. So this is from Over the Cap. Now they approximate the Vikings only getting 1/3. Now it was 2/3 initially with Cousins and Daniil Hunter, but the signing that canceled out the 3rd round comp pick from Daniil Hunter was a signing of veteran cornerback Shaq Griffin. Now, is Shaq Griffin worth the money and also losing a 3rd round pick? Oh, that remains to be seen, but long story longer, this is what Corte wrote today. There's the starkest example of this, of comp picks. The Vikings were expected to possibly see 2 players, Kirk Cousins and Daniil Hunter, leave the team for top-tier deals elsewhere, and that is what happened. The Vikings also lost several other CFAs, but were also aggressive in signing CFAs of their own to offset some of those departures. So you look at the Vikings where they lost Wanham for decent money to Carolina, Davenport's to Detroit. Hicks and Osborne had deals that qualified as well, and the Vikings, they went hard in the paint in free agency with Grenard, AVG, Sling and Sam Darnold, Blake Cashman, as well as Shaq Griffin. Blah blah blah. Nonetheless, they still had at least balance where the 3rd rounders for both Cousins and Hunter leaving were on the board until they signed Shaq Griffin to a 1-year, $4.55 million contract, leaving the Vikings with a net loss of only 1 CFA, giving the formula no choice but to cancel out Hunter's contract with Griffin's. Now, Kwesi's an analytics guy, so in the back of his mind, he's keeping track of what's going on with the free agents and the comp picks. Now, again, this is just the estimation of Over the Cap. They're very good at what they do, but are they 100%? Not necessarily. Now, it's fine for a team to conclude that signing a player now is better than getting a comp pick later, but adding to the intrigue are multiple reports that say the Vikings expect multiple comp picks to offset the trade-ups that they made in the draft. ESPN and The Athletic both noted that. Like all humans, I am fallible, and it's possible that I missed an additional CFA that departed. If you think I did, let me know. Another possibility is that the Vikings, like many, expected Dalton Risner to sign a contract before the draft, but unbelievably, this is second straight season he's failed to do so. It is kind of wild, isn't it? But as I see it now, the best chance the Vikings could have to get 3rd is if Oli Udoh starts the whole season on the offensive line for the Saints. Even more daunting would be if Josh Dobbs somehow starts the whole season for the Niners, because that's what's interesting too, because not only is it the money, but playing time, accolades theoretically goes into the formula as well. Again, no one knows what the formula actually is because the league keeps that under wraps, so it's actually really funny. It's also intriguing that the Vikings spent much at quarterback, $10 million for Sam Darnold, and edge rusher, Jonathan Grenard, Andrew Van Ginkel, only turn around and draft both of those positions in the 1st round. Well, here's the free agency happens before the draft. And by signing Darnold and by signing Grenard and AVG, it gives you flexibility to draft BPA, which you should be doing. If the Vikings struck out on quarterbacks or they didn't find the right value, they could have passed because they had Sam Darnold. Or if the Vikings, they didn't have to force an edge rusher pick, but Dallas Turner fell into their laps when they moved up. So take that there. So that's sort of a whatever point there. But basically it comes down to, did the Vikings make a mistake or is the chart wrong? We'll see. But of course, Seth Walder, ESPN, who just completely despises the Vikings. Oh, wow, this is a really bad job by the Vikings. Smug ass Seth Walder. Please. But could be a couple reasons here. Number one, maybe the Vikings love Shaq Griffin. I think it's kind of unlikely. But maybe they're like, hey, remember Shaq Griffin with the Seahawks? He was awesome. He's going to be awesome playing left corner here as well. I don't know, maybe. But is he worth $4.55 million and a 2025 third-round pick? I don't know. I think more likely is, like Nick alluded to, they did expect Reisner to sign elsewhere for a qualifying deal, which would have made it onto the chart, which would have uncanceled out Hunter's third again. Don't know. Also, maybe Kwesi just said F them picks. All right, because even though the Vikings 25 draft picks are sort of are a bit pot marked, but also the Vikings have $100 million in cap space in 2025. So maybe they have big time free agent plans on top of taking care of their own, like Jefferson and Darisaw. So maybe it's going to be a moot point for comp picks for a while. But also what it comes down to is that maybe the Vikings. Maybe over the cap's formula is wrong. Maybe the Vikings in-house, being one of the third two teams, maybe they do have a better finger on the pulse of what goes on into this formula. And maybe Kwesi does have not so confirmation, but confirmation that the Vikings are in line for two third-round comp picks. So like maybe there's been a change. Maybe there's something that over the cap hasn't factored in. And like I said, this is no hate against over the cap. This is hate against Seth Walter. Oh wow, there's a really bad job by the Vikings. So again, like maybe it's something that over the cap missed, and maybe it's something new that's being introduced to the formula that's that only the teams know. So it certainly could be possible that we have to wait until next frickin' March, right? It is extremely possible the Vikings know that they're getting 2 third-round comp picks and were able to pull off these deals, and the Shaq Griffin contract, like, it didn't hold things up, because you would think that if Kwesi and the Vikings knew that signing Shaq Griffin would cost them a third-round pick, would they do that? I don't know, man. Again, no hate and animosity to Shaq Griffin, but I don't know if he's worth an extra third-round pick. And Kwesi has made mistakes in the past, but this doesn't seem like something he would make a mistake on. This is literally spreadsheet stuff. So I guess we'll see, man. I guess we'll see. But your thoughts are a thought. Comp pick gate 2025. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But next time, Skol, production value.